Barcelona have just defeated Rayo Vallecano 1-0 at Montjuic in match week 24 of La Liga. With this win, Barcelona regained first place in the table, surpassing Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, who of course both dropped points this weekend. Today, coming into this game, we all knew this. I'm not breaking any news. Barca had to get the win. It was one of the most important games of the season for Barcelona. Yes, mid-February against Rayo Vallecano at home suddenly became this must-win game for Barca, and they got the win. They took care of business and got the win. I could barely sleep last night knowing how important this game was. I was so nervous for it, bro. My ass cheeks were clenched for that entire second half. Might be a little bit graphic, but it's true, bro. It was like I was riding a motorcycle and P. Diddy was behind me, grabbing on. Like it was like I was riding a motorcycle with P. Diddy. My ass cheeks were just clenched. That's kind of a stupid joke. But anyway, you got my point. Like, my point is I was nervous for this game, bro. I was super nervous watching this game, and again, that second half, it wasn't the best, but the most important thing is that Barca got the win. I cannot stress that enough. I care about style points a lot, as you guys know. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you know I care about style points and the way the team plays. But I'm not going to complain about this, because not every game you're going to win 5-0, 6-0, 7-1, 4-1. That's just not realistic. We've become so spoiled by Hansi Flick and this football that we've seen over the past 8 months that we expect Barca to spank every team, and that's just not the reality of football. It's just not the way it happens. League titles are a lot of times won with games like this. A 1-0 uninspiring win against Rayo Vallecano at home, and the one goal was a penalty. Whatever, it's 3 points. Those 3 points count the same that if you won 7-0. And Rayo Vallecano are not Valencia, okay? They're not a team that's just happy to be in La Liga, who's just trying to stay up. They're actually a really, really good team who's well coached and always play Barca hard, and we saw that today. And since 2025 started, they've been on great form. So today was not some like walk in the park. Barca were always going to struggle in this game, but struggling is fine if you get the win, and Barca got the win. And look, I wasn't extremely happy with the performance. There was a lot of things that I saw that I didn't like. A lot of players that I thought underperformed, and we'll get to that obviously in this video. But I just want Barca fans to acknowledge that first of all. Getting the win was the most important thing. And now Barca, 51 points. Madrid also obviously have 51 points, tied on points. But Barca have the head-to-head from beating them 4-0. Remember that? 4-0 at the Bernabeu back in October. And also Barca also have goal difference in their advantage. So if Barca win every single game from now until the rest, like for the remainder of the La Liga season, which is obviously not realistic and probably not going to happen, but whatever. If they do that, Barca win the league. So Barca control their own destiny, and that's all we could ask for coming into this game. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. First of all, now let's talk about the game itself. The lineup, it was Hector Ford at right back because Koundé was being disciplined for being late. So we saw Hector Ford get a start. We also saw Frenkie de Jong and Pedri as the midfield tandem. It seems that Hansi Flick is going with that pairing now. He's gotten rid of Casado, now he's putting in Frenkie de Jong to play with Pedri, and they actually look really, really good. I feel bad for Casado because he's been so great, and he's been so important for this team throughout the whole season. But Frenkie de Jong, man, since he started getting consistent minutes, since the turn of the calendars, he started playing more once 2025 started. I've liked what I've seen from him, and I'm sure Hansi Flick has as well, and that's why he's getting the start. For Gavi got the start as the attacking midfielder, obviously, ahead of Dani Olmo, and Fermin was obviously suspended for this game, and the front three was the same, Lewa, Lamine Yamal, and Rafinha. But yeah, the lineup was a little bit different, but not that different. Kouarsi and Inigo finally back in the starting lineup, recovering from his injury, and I thought he was amazing today. But yeah, starting lineup was a little bit different, but not that different. And yeah, in the first half, Barca, first 35 minutes, I thought Barca looked great. There was a lot of chances that they created. Obviously, we had that chance with Rafinha in the first half where Balde sending that cross and he just sent it wide of the post. Lamine Yamal missed a chance in the first half. Barca were creating chances, but their one goal came from a penalty. Inigo Martinez gets fouled in the box during a corner. A clear foul, by the way. A clear foul. I don't care what anybody says. The player's not even looking at the ball, and he's hugging Inigo Martinez. And by the way, the Rayo Vallecano player had no reason to do that because the ball was going nowhere near Inigo. So it's just a stupid foul to give away. You got to be smarter in that situation. But yeah, he wasn't smart enough, and he fouls Inigo, and it's a penalty. And Robert Lewandowski converts the penalty, posts it in. Was it a good penalty? Was it a bad penalty? I really don't know. I think he hit it well, but that was really close to missing. But hey, number 9 Lewandowski gets his goal. Pichichi with it, Lewandowski gets his goal, posting it. I was just happy that Barca got that goal. And yeah, after the 1-0, I thought Barca were going to start to kind of look a little bit better. But they didn't really end up growing into this game. Barca never really felt comfortable in this game. Everybody's saying this was a good performance. I totally disagree. I think Barca, like I said, for the first 30-35 minutes of the first half looked good, had a lot of good moments. But after that, bro, it was just uncomfortable. It was just uncomfortable. Obviously, Rayo Vallecano had that goal disallowed in the first half as well because Nketiah impeding Inigo from blocking from getting to the player that's onside. The player that scored the goal was onside, but Enqueta's offside, and he's basically runs into Inigo. I think Inigo does a smart player to actually run into him and force that contact. Very, very high IQ play from Inigo. But yeah, to me, I don't get the fuss about everybody complaining it wasn't an offside. It was clearly offside. If you understand the rules of football, you know that a player who's offside interfering with the play makes the goal offside, even if the player who scored wasn't offside, if that makes sense. So yeah, everybody complaining about that and bitching about that, saying Barca pays the refs. You just learn the rules of football first and then you can complain. But yeah, but my point is, they were getting chances. Obviously, they had that chance where Szczesny made two massive saves. Actually, one massive save, and then the second, it wasn't really a double save because it wasn't a shot on goal. But he stops the first shot, and the ball kind of, it rebounds to the side, and he goes and collects that ball as well. So great job from Szczesny, who's kind of, earning my trust. I'm not gonna lie, Szczesny's earning my trust. But yeah, to me, here's the one thing about this game, right? Because in the second half came around, I think Barca, our biggest issue today was not clinical enough in front of goal and not good enough in the final third. Our chance creation was there, but it wasn't like clear chance creation. We were getting to the final third, but then once we got to the final third, it was a lot of sloppy crosses. It was a lot of Lamine Yamal doing God knows what today. I don't know what the fuck was up with Lamine Yamal today, but he was just not good. It was a lot of, it just didn't seem like the usual football we've been seeing from Barca this season, where we're so decisive in the final third, where the team is so decisive in the final third, where the front three is clicking so well. The front three today, in my opinion, was awful. All three of them, by the way, and it didn't get better in the second half. But yeah, to me, I think the first thing that I noticed with this team that I didn't like was Hector Ford at right back. And I noticed that throughout the whole game. And I think Flick took too long to sub him out. And I think it affected Lamine Yamal's play, and I think it affected the whole team because Hector Ford, especially in that first half, was getting torched down that right-hand side. Now, I like Hector Ford as a player. I appreciate the contributions he's made to this team. I thought he was good last year when he got minutes under Xavi. I think he's a guy who can be a future starter for Barca. But right now, he's simply not good enough. I understand Koundé was late to training or whatever he was late for, so you have to discipline him. And I like that Hansi Flick is instilling that culture in the team that you can't be late. It's not like I will not forgive you for being late. You're going to miss playing time. I get that, okay? I appreciate that. But some games, bro, you got to suck it up because our fullback depth is not great. And Koundé is, to me, the best right back in the world. And you cannot bench him for a game like this. Not for Hector Ford, who was just getting torched, like I said, on the right-hand side repeatedly in this game. They were hunting him all the time, and they were getting by Hector Ford with ease. Every chance that Rayo Vallecano had basically in this game, especially in that first half, came from Hector Ford, from his side, and him being out of position or just having a lack of awareness. So again, I appreciate Hansi Flick and what he's doing, but please, Hansi, for this game, if you want to rest Koundé, rest him for Las Palmas, not for games like this, because I did not like what I saw from Hector Ford whatsoever. People might think I'm being harsh. I wasn't convinced with this performance at all. But yeah, man, I think that in the second half, that was my biggest issue. Like I said, also, I just think Barca were just uncomfortable. Rayo Vallecano were making Barca uncomfortable. Now, the funny thing about this game is that Rayo Vallecano were not creating chances. Like Szczesny, I think he made like 2 saves in this game. They were not creating that many chances. There wasn't that many chances where you're like, oh my god, they almost scored. They were like making Barca uncomfortable in the build-up, and obviously in the final third they were playing well defensively, but in terms of like actually threatening Barca's goal, it wasn't really happening. So in that sense, I was calm, but these teams in La Liga, if you've been watching La Liga for long enough, like I have, that these teams, even when they're not playing well, they get one counter-attack, and it's just like every player turns into like these teams sometimes get a counter-attack and they turn to 2012 Real Madrid. It's like Ronaldo, Di Maria, and Higuain, and Benzema on the fucking counter, and you can't do anything about it. So again, that's why my ass cheeks were clenched for that whole second half, but it didn't happen. But yeah, like I said, Hector Ford comes out. I'm happy that he brought Koundé in. And then the other change that he made, I think Hansi Flick made a huge change and a good change in that second half, which was taking out Gavi and bringing in Dani Olmo. Gavi, to me, is not an attacking midfielder. I don't think he seems comfortable in that position, and he wasn't really getting involved in the game that much. I think Gavi works much better as an 8. As an 8, he works much better than as a 9, than as a 10 or wherever he was playing because, again, he doesn't really seem involved in play that much. So I like the subs that Flick made. And, for me, I think Barca played super well defensively. I think Inigo Martinez today had a fantastic game. I thought Koundé, when he came in, did a really, really good job. I thought Kuwarsi was amazing. I thought Szczesny was great between the posts. I thought Balde was fantastic today, man. Balde was so good, and he's been so great since 2025 started. I thought Frankie de Jong had a really good game as well. I think Frankie de Jong is a guy who's finally starting to get into the good graces of Barca fans once again because we're seeing the potential this guy has. I mean, this guy has that talent. He's always been that talented. We just hadn't seen it in a while because obviously he was injured and he was easing his way back from an injury. But I love what I saw from Frankie de Jong, particularly in that second half. I thought his work off the ball and on the ball was fantastic. I think he was helping out in the build-up, making it a lot more smoother for Barca to actually get into the final third and carrying the ball forward. So I like what I saw from Frankie de Jong. Pedri, man of the match to me. It's between him and Inigo. I honestly give it to Pedri because what he does, man, week in and week out, it's just not normal. You can prefer whoever you want as a midfielder. You can prefer Bellingham. You can prefer Florian Wirtz. You can prefer any of these players, okay? They're all great. They're all generational in my opinion. This kid, man, if you watch him play and you don't think you're watching one of the best midfielders on the planet, you have no idea what you're watching. His control, his passing, even today he was tracking back. His work off the ball is extremely underrated. Pedri is a gem, a one-of-one talent. And once again today, if that front three could finish today, Bailey would have had 3 assists maybe because he was just playmaking. He was everywhere on the pitch, and I just love what I saw. And now the front three. The front three to me today was awful. Awful. That was terrible. Lamine Yamal, that might be the worst game I've ever seen him play as a Barca player. And he's not been really sharp these past few games. Lamine Yamal, his finishing was not great today, and it's really never great because he's still really young and needs to work on that. But Lamine Yamal should work on his finishing. Now, the funny thing is with Lamine, his technique is good. The way he strikes the ball, I mean, he has great technique. He just doesn't know where to place it. This guy, once he gets that done, once he gets that like sorted out, he's going to be unstoppable because he's already unstoppable. But yeah, 17 years old. I don't expect him to be a finished product, okay? There's going to be things he's going to have to work on, and finishing is one of them. And it's frustrating sometimes to watch, but again, you got to remind yourself, this is still a young kid, okay? This is his second full season really at the professional level. We can't expect much from him when it comes to, we can't just expect him to be a jack of all trades this young. But again, I mean, in that sense, has to get better. He has to get better at getting rid of the ball quicker. He has to get better at making decisions faster because a lot of times he holds onto the ball too much. And today his passing was way off, and just his decision making, which is usually a strong suit for Lamine Yamal, was just totally off as well. Lewandowski got the pen. Other than that, he was useless, and he's been useless throughout fucking the past 3 months, basically. Barca talk about wanting Lewandowski back for next season. We gotta stop that talk, okay? We gotta stop that talk. I was really busy all of last week with work, so I couldn't make a video on the situation. But I promise you, if I wasn't busy with work, I would have made a whole video talking about Lewandowski and the fact that Barca want to bring him back for 1 more year. Because if you want to bring him back for 1 more year, that's fine. He cannot be the starter. He cannot be the starter week in and week out. This guy's age is showing. He was great in the first half of the season, but the second half, he has not been great, okay? He scored a penalty today. Congrats. Yippee. I'm happy for him. He's been good throughout the whole season, okay? He's Pichichi for a reason. He's top goal scorer of the UCL for a reason. But Barca are also a team that creates a lot of chances for him, and there's a lot of times he looks like a fish out of water on this team sometimes. So again, Barca have to do better in that department going into next season. I'm sure you can work for the rest of the season, that's fine. But for next season, you got to find a replacement. And then Rafinha, I thought he was subpar today. He honestly, one thing about Rafinha is that usually, or at least under Xavi, when he had bad games, you saw him have bad games. He had the ball, but he just couldn't do shit with it. Today, it was almost like he just wasn't on the pitch. And that's rare for Rafinha. It's rare that you go through a game and you don't notice that he's on the pitch. But today, honestly, if you would have told me that Rafinha didn't play, I would have been like, yeah, I believe you. Because he just seemed, I didn't see him get involved that much. He missed a chance. He missed a chance, like I said, in that first half with Balde. A great pass from Balde. He missed another chance in that second half as well. But yeah, he wasn't great to me. He wasn't great at all. But I think the back line today held its own. I thought Kuwarsi was fantastic. Like I said, I thought Inigo was splendid. I mean, this guy can't lose a starting job. I don't care how good Araujo is. I don't care what contract you sign him to. Inigo has to be the starter. But yeah, man, like I said, it wasn't the best performance. I thought Barca looked sloppy a lot of times in this game, and I was really nervous at times, for the most part, actually. But the most important thing, like I said, is the win and the fact that, we're back on top of La Liga. They're back on top of La Liga. I don't play for the team, but they're back on top of La Liga. And, Madrid have a lot of injuries, unfortunately, to their team. They have a congested schedule, so these things add up. And everybody who thought, all these idiots that thought, I'm talking about myself, by the way, I'm self-aware enough to admit this. Everybody who thought that the league title race was over, me, back in November and December when Barca were dropping all those points and Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid were cruising and were winning all these games, we look silly now. Because obviously, I was just emotional, okay? Maybe I shouldn't be emotional when I make videos like this, when I'm trying to provide analysis and make content. But I'm a fan, bro. So I was just emotional. I was pissed that Barca was losing all these games. I saw us be behind Madrid. I saw us have a 10-point gap between us and Madrid. I thought it was over, bro. But again, this is football for you. You go through a month and a half of football. Some teams start to slip up, like Real Madrid has. Barca regained their momentum, and look at us now, back on top of La Liga after we were down 10 points back in December, early January. So I could not ask for more. Again, the performances have to be better, but with these games, you just have to take it and run. Take the 3 points and run, and Barca got that today. And yeah, man, that's all I thought. That's all I have to say. Hector Ford, he's got to be better. Lamine Yamal has to do better has to do better than today, because that was just not a great performance to me. But overall, I don't think the performance was that bad. I just think Hansi Flick needs to make changes quicker, and also don't discipline a player when a game is this important. That's just my thoughts, honestly, to end this off. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. I love every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.